Welcome to Deep Psyche. There are moments in life when a meeting feels fated, not by chance, not by accident, but by a quiet alignment between your inner world and the world outside. You meet someone, and something stirs. Not just interest, but a resonance. Deep, inexplicable, and undeniable. These are not ordinary encounters. They feel like echoes from a dream you once had but forgot. A familiarity that precedes memory. A feeling that the universe somehow intended this. Carl Jung would not call this coincidence. He would call it synchronicity, the mysterious intersection of psyche and matter, where the soul's hidden needs are mirrored in the outer world. When two paths cross at exactly the right moment, when words feel like they've waited lifetimes to be spoken, when eyes meet and something ancient awakens, Jung would ask us to look inward, not outward. Because such encounters are not random. They arise from the movements of the unconscious, from archetypes that seek expression, from the self, the center of our being, guiding us toward wholeness. In this video, we will explore how love, attraction, and profound connection are not dictated by fate in the traditional sense, but by the soul's desire to heal, to integrate, to remember itself. If you've ever felt that the universe brought someone into your life for a reason, if you've ever sensed meaning in a meeting that logic couldn't explain, you are not alone. You are listening to the voice of your own inner world. Jung reminds us, we do not just fall in love with people, we fall in love with symbols, with reflections of what lies dormant within us. And when the right person appears, they don't just enter your life, they awaken a part of you that was waiting to be seen. Let's begin this journey inward, because sometimes the universe doesn't bring someone to complete us. It brings someone to reveal us. When two people cross paths under improbable conditions and something within stirs, it's tempting to call it fate. But for Carl Jung, such encounters are better understood through the lens of synchronicity, meaningful coincidences not bound by cause and effect, but by an invisible order that links the inner world with outer events. In love, synchronicity becomes a kind of whisper from the soul. You think of someone, and they appear. Two lives from different cities intersect in a distant place, as if drawn there by threads neither could see. These are not mere accidents. They are signs, fragments of a hidden dialogue between the unconscious and the world it inhabits. Jung believed that beneath the surface of daily life flows a deeper current, the collective unconscious, filled with symbols, archetypes, and stories older than our personal memories. And sometimes that current breaks through. It arranges a meeting, repeats a pattern, or places the right person in front of us, not to complete us, but to reveal something waiting to be awakened within. Synchronicity appears at critical junctures. The first encounter, the reconnection, the coincidence too exact to dismiss. These moments carry emotional weight, not because they promise ease, but because they carry meaning. The universe does not always offer comfort, it offers growth. And growth often arrives wrapped in the complexity of another soul. In this way, synchronicity becomes a mirror. It doesn't speak in words, but in moments. A book you find when you need it most. A line of music that gives voice to a silent ache. A fleeting conversation that feels like an answer. These are not random. They are the language of the unconscious, reaching us through the external world. But this language is subtle. It does not shout. It arrives in gentle nudges, symbolic echoes, repetitions that become too precise to ignore. When the universe wants to bring two souls together, it doesn't push, it aligns. It weaves quiet patterns through the chaos and waits to see who is paying attention. Still, synchronicity is not a promise. It opens a door, but never forces a step. The signs may be there, unmistakable, almost sacred, but the journey must be chosen with conscious will. Destiny may arrange the meeting, but the relationship must be shaped with intention, maturity, and presence. Jung taught that synchronicity is not about superstition, but about attunement, the ability to listen to the subtle rhythm of life, to see with the eyes of the soul rather than the mind alone. In love, this kind of deep listening can uncover truths we didn't know we were seeking. Because when the inner world aligns with the flow of outer events, What once seemed unlikely becomes inevitable. And when the soul is ready, the universe arranges the meeting. But what happens after, that is the work of consciousness. In the next part of this journey, we explore how we rarely fall in love with the real person before us. Instead, we fall for what they awaken in us, for a reflection, a memory, a missing piece. This is the nature of projection, a key concept in Jungian thought, and one of the most powerful forces at play in human connection. Jung believed that we project onto others what remains unconscious within ourselves, both our light and our shadow, both what we idealize and what we reject. In relationships, projection often feels enchanting at first. We see in the other person everything we've longed for: sensitivity, strength, mystery, safety, freedom. But with time, the idealized image begins to fade. We start to notice that the person before us doesn't quite match the fantasy we constructed. This doesn't mean that the connection was false. It means we're being invited to look deeper. The enchantment was real, but it wasn't just about them. It was about what they awakened within us. In relationships that feel fated or guided by the universe, this dynamic is especially intense. There's a symbolic power behind these connections that makes it easy to confuse the real person with the inner figure we've projected onto them. But as Jung noted, every projection is a path towards self-awareness. It reveals the parts of us we have yet to fully understand or integrate. The other person becomes a mirror, not just of our longings, but of our wounds, fears, and unrealized potential. The depth of our reaction to someone often reflects the depth of our own inner landscape. This is why such relationships can feel both magical and painful. They stir something ancient, unresolved. To navigate this process consciously, we must ask ourselves, what exactly am I drawn to in this person? What about them unsettles me? What is being awakened in me that doesn't normally surface? When we reflect deeply on these questions, we begin to see that not everything we feel belongs to the other person. Much of it is ours. Our jealousy, our awe, our dependency, our fear of loss, our sense of being complete or incomplete. These are signals from within. They point to unresolved inner narratives. As we grow in awareness, we gain the freedom to relate more authentically. We remove the mask we placed on the other and begin to see them for who they truly are. Another human being, not a projection or savior. Jung called this the process of withdrawing projections. It is a movement from illusion to intimacy. This is not easy. It requires honesty, vulnerability, and courage. But it's also profoundly liberating. We stop expecting others to fix or fulfill us. We take responsibility for our own healing. And when that happens, love transforms. It is no longer a desperate search for what is missing. It becomes a celebration of what is already awakening within. So when someone enters your life and stirs something deep, pay attention. Perhaps they're not just a person, but a symbol, a mirror, a message. And in seeing them clearly, perhaps you will begin to see yourself more clearly too. Everything we deny, repress, or simply fail to see in ourselves becomes part of the shadow. And the shadow is not composed solely of darkness. It holds more than anger, jealousy, or pride. It also conceals lost potential, forgotten talents, and desires we never dared to claim. When someone enters our life with great intensity, as if sent by fate, they often awaken that shadow within us. And it doesn't always show up as conflict. Sometimes it arrives disguised as deep fascination, even love. These destined encounters are not necessarily here to complete us, they are here to reveal us. Such relationships function as powerful mirrors, reflecting what the conscious mind cannot yet see. The stronger the emotional bond, the more charged the reactions tend to be. Fears of abandonment, control, insecurity, or the need for validation often emerge, uninvited but revealing. In this theater of love, the other becomes the stage on which the drama of our inner self is played out. The tug of war between who we are and who we are becoming. It is not always pleasant, but it is profoundly fertile. The discomfort these encounters bring is not a sign to flee, but a sign that transformation is underway. Jung wrote, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." And few experiences invite us into that light-dark encounter as much as a relationship does. When the universe orchestrates a meaningful encounter, it often acts as a catalyst. The person we meet draws forth forgotten aspects of ourselves, both our beauty and our pain. They awaken something dormant. They call us to look inward, to confront our triggers, to understand our patterns, to meet our own shadow face to face. And in doing so, we inch closer to wholeness, becoming more capable of truly loving, not from need, but from depth. It must be said, this is not a call to endure suffering or remain in toxic dynamics. The presence of the shadow is not an excuse for harm. Even in the healthiest relationships, discomfort can emerge. Growth can hurt, but it should never destroy. Many couples who have shared intense, meaningful stories often speak of moments when they were on the verge of breaking, when something deep and old was stirred. But those who learn to see these moments not as threats but as revelations often grow stronger. The question becomes, what is this experience showing me about myself? That single question can transmute conflict into transformation. Jung believed that integrating the shadow is a central part of individuation, the path of becoming our true whole self. And nothing accelerates that process quite like love that stirs both light and darkness. This is why the most transformative relationships are rarely the easiest. They are not built on perfection, but on truth. They teach us that love is not about finding someone who fills the void, but about becoming someone who can stand in the void, fully present, and offer love freely. To recognize the shadow is not to live in torment, it is to become free. The more conscious we are of our hidden parts, the less we unconsciously seek others to complete us. In that awareness, love becomes a conscious offering, not a disguised need. So when the universe sends someone who awakens both your joy and your fear, your beauty and your pain, it is not a mistake. It is a calling, a sacred invitation to leave behind the illusion of perfect love and embrace the messy, honest, and transformative truth of real love. Carl Jung saw love not merely as an emotional bond, but as a profound path for the evolution of the soul. He understood that the deepest connections are not there to keep us comfortable, but to awaken us, to move us forward, to help us become whole. Because being with someone, especially in an intense, soulful relationship, is like walking through life with a mirror beside you. And when we dare to truly look, we don't just see them. We begin to see ourselves clearly, maybe for the first time. The other person reveals us to ourselves. They illuminate where our light shines, where our shadow lingers, and where we are still being called to grow. Instead of expecting the other to fill our voids, we are gently invited to turn inward and take responsibility for our own journey. It isn't easy, but it is deeply liberating. The path of individuation calls us to recognize, embrace, and integrate the opposites within: reason and emotion, strength and vulnerability, action and stillness, the masculine and the feminine. And it is within relationships that these inner polarities often surface with the greatest intensity. When we meet someone who both accepts and challenges us, who mirrors and confronts us, we are offered a unique opportunity to encounter parts of ourselves we may never have noticed alone. Jung spoke of the anima and animus, the inner images of the opposite gender within us all. Men carry the feminine within, the anima, and women the masculine, the animus. These inner figures are shaped by personal history, cultural imprinting, and the collective unconscious. And so often we project them onto those we love. This projection can enchant, disillusion, or confuse us. But when we begin to see that what we seek in the other is also something waiting to be awakened within ourselves, we step into a deeper phase of individuation. Relationships are not only emotional experiences, they are symbolic processes. They are rituals of transformation. What the other evokes in us, be it love, fear, the impulse to flee, or the longing to stay, is the voice of our own soul rising into consciousness. And the more aware we are of this, the more a relationship becomes a sacred path of self-discovery. This is why the so-called destined encounters often bring such profound changes. They aren't just about companionship or romance. They are designed to shake us awake, break down our defenses, challenge our identities, and gently, or sometimes not so gently, guide us back to the essence of who we are. On the path of individuation, conflict is not the enemy, it is the teacher. Every misunderstanding reveals a part of us still longing for integration. Every act of love reflects our evolving capacity to show up, to care, to commit with greater consciousness. And over time, what began as desire or infatuation transforms into conscious presence. Integration begins when we stop expecting the other to complete us and begin to see them as a companion on the journey, someone walking their own path beside ours, with their own pace, lessons, and soul. At that point, love becomes not fusion, but communion. Two distinct beings meeting not to merge, but to grow, together and apart. When the universe unites two souls in such depth, it offers more than romance. It offers a mirror of the soul. And before that mirror, we can choose to deny what we see or to accept the invitation to transform. This is the sacred work of relationship, to grow inwardly while holding hands outwardly, and in doing so, to bridge the gap between who we have been and who we are becoming. More than seeking the perfect love, we begin to recognize the symbolic significance of each connection. When a relationship becomes a bridge, not just between hearts, but between dimensions of the self, it stops being mere destiny and becomes a deeper fulfillment of the soul's calling. Along this path, the universe continues to speak. Through the other, through ourselves, through the quiet echoes of synchronicity and symbol that only the awakened heart can truly understand. Not every encounter is by chance. Some come as gentle breezes, others as storms. But every soul that leaves a mark on ours carries a message that lies far beneath the surface. When the universe wants two people to meet, it speaks through symbols, through signs, and yes, through the very challenges that awaken what still needs to be healed and made whole. As Jung taught, true love is not only about harmony, it is also about the mirror. It reveals who we are, where our shadows rest, and how much more we are capable of becoming. Each relationship is a call to individuation, a sacred journey of discovering ourselves through the eyes, the presence, and the reflection of the other. So if you've ever felt that certain connections were guided by something greater, don't dismiss that feeling. Perhaps it's time to look again, not just with emotion, but with depth. Not only for affection, but for meaning. And if this message has stirred something within you, subscribe to the channel and continue this journey with the next video. Let each step take you further inward. Your transformation begins right now.